What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and today I'm going to be showing you how to raise rents. Now, these principles are going to apply for if you've just purchased a property, but also I'm going to show you what to do if you've owned a property for a while and you're wanting to find the best way to increase rents. So with that being said, let's jump into it. Now, if you haven't been to my channel before, make sure you push that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you don't know who I am, my name's Chandler Smith, and I've been investing in real estate for the last 6+ years. I currently own 71 doors of rental real estate, and in the next month, I'm gonna be closing on a 32-unit complex. I've had the opportunity to go in and purchase properties, and then I've had the need to increase rents to fair market value. Now, a lot of people might think I'm a savage because I'll purchase properties and then go and bump rents. However, that's kind of the niche that I found a lot of success in because I find older properties that have had tenants in there forever and the owners have never raised rents. So it's not like I'm raising them above what is fair market value. I'm just raising them to what the current market value is. And that's how I'm able to capitalize on really good deals because when I purchase them where the seller is very happy with the purchase price because of where their current rents are. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to raise rents quickly and how to raise rents over time if you've been renting your property for a while and you need to know the right way to increase rents on your tenants. Just keep in mind, this is a touchy subject and I want you to know that I'm not here trying to take advantage of people. I'm really trying to just increase the rents to where they're fair, and I need to do that to make these properties worth purchasing and worth owning as an investment property. And so with this video, I also want to cover the things that you can do to make sure that you're fair with your tenants, that you hopefully don't tick them off too bad, and you can hold on to as many of those tenants as possible with these rent increases. And if you're unable to hold on to them, I want to show you how to be able to fill those vacancies quickly so that you don't run into this issue where because you raised rents, you're actually losing money because you don't have anyone renting from you anymore. I want to use an example that I think you've all heard. And this example is putting a frog into a pot of water and then slowly turning the temperature up until that water comes to a boil. And what the old tale says is that the frog will stay in there, not notice it, and then die because they don't jump out. Now, right off the bat, I want to tell you this is a big fallacy. It's not true. If you put a frog in a pot of boiling water, it might not do very well. As a matter of fact, that's probably the best way if you're trying to kill a frog in boiling water. But if you slowly turn up the temperature, the second the water starts to get uncomfortable, the frog is just going to jump out. One of the big mistakes I see people make when they go in and they buy a property, and just to use an example, let's say they bought a property and the rents are at $500, but they know that this property should be renting at $800. If you go in and you tell the tenant, look, I'm gonna be raising rents every month, $25 for the next year, you would think that was you being generous or you trying to work with the tenant. But the reality is if you do that, the tenant is not going to stay around for very long. As a matter of fact, odds are they're going to leave immediately. Where if you go to the tenant and you say, look, here's the deal, rents should be at $800. However, if you decide to stay, I'm gonna do them at $700 because I know for this unit and the quality and the service that we provide, you're not gonna be able to find anything less than $800. For you, because you've been a loyal tenant, I'll sign a lease at $700. I promise you, your odds of keeping that tenant are drastically higher because you're just leveling with them. You're saying, look, this is the deal. I bought the property at a much higher purchase price than the previous owner. This is where rents need to be, but I understand you're here. I need to raise rents to at least $700. And so as soon as your lease is up, that's where rents are going to be. And I promise you, using this strategy is going to work a lot better. However, if you are someone that has owned a rental property for years and you've had the same tenant for years, this is the time to apply the slow rent raise. And the reason for that is you're the same owner. You don't have anything to justify this drastic jump. You've got a tenant that you've had a relationship with. And what I would say is you say, look, here's the deal. I need to raise their rents $50 for this next 6 months. That's where it's gonna be. You don't need to lay out how many jumps they're gonna be, but you just say, look, I've got to raise it $50, and then you might have to wait another 6 months or another year before jumping it up again to have those rent increases. And the only time you should use this strategy is if you were already at market value and now market value has gone up $50 and you need to do those slow increases at the end of their lease. And so that strategy works when you're doing lease to lease and when you already had them at market value. But if you need to make a drastic jump to get them to where you need to be, you just need to go in and say, look, this is the jump we need to make. It's gonna stink. If I lose you, I feel really bad, but I'm confident that you're not gonna be able to find a better setup than staying here with me. So the big thing I wanna make sure I'm clear on is if you've just purchased a property, just make the plunge, all right? Make the big jump immediately, get them to market, and you might have some people leave, but I promise you're gonna have less people leave if you write a letter that says, look, this is where market rents are. If you go out into the market right now, this is what you're going to pay for this unit. I'm gonna give you $100 less or $50 less because I wanna hold on to you. Now, I know that's a $100 to $200 bump from what you've been paying, but I do wanna take care of you, and I truly believe with this bump, you're going to have a win because you're not going to have to move and you're gonna be saving money compared to anywhere else. And yeah, you were paying $500 before, and it's a bummer you have to deal with that jump, but unfortunately that's life, and luckily you've connected with me, and I'm gonna do everything I can to keep you happy and make sure that you're in a good place here with this unit. Where on the alternative, if you've had them at market already and the market has increased, you can do those slower bumps because the reality is you don't wanna wait for years down the road and then do a big jump. People understand after every year lease, there's probably going to be a small increase. So make sure you're always slowly increasing rents and make sure there's an open conversation with your tenants. Just go to them and say, look, here's the deal. Rents are increasing, taxes are increasing, things are changing. I should probably raise you $50, but you've been awesome. Let's just do a $25 increase this year. And that way I can take care of you and we can make sure that we keep you here, that we keep you happy, and that you understand that you're valued, but I need to make this small bump. And if you approach it that way and you're slowly increasing every year with your tenants, there's no reason that they should be frustrated with that as well. Now, one point I want to make extremely clear is if they are already in a lease when you purchase the property, or if they're in a lease when you are wanting to raise rents and they've been with you, don't raise rents. It's illegal. They're under contract. They signed a lease. You can't do that. And I see so many landlords that go and try and take advantage of tenants outside of their lease. And I'm telling you right now, that's dishonest, and I do not approve of that. So if they are already under contract, wait until their contract is up. Now, if you need instant rent increases, if you're in a situation where you've got to get rents bumped immediately for whatever reason, whether you're trying to refinance or whether you're trying to sell the property or whatever you're trying to do, there are options to raise rents on people that are under contract, but they need to be legal. You need to take care of your tenants, and I'm gonna cover a couple of those really quickly if you need that instant increase, even though they're still under contract. The first one that I've had work, if they're under contract and you're wanting to raise rents, is go to the tenant and say, look, here's the deal. I need to get rents up to here. If you are willing to leave or sign a new contract with rents at this point, either one I'm okay with, I will pay you $500 to do that. Or I will pay you $200 to do that. Or whatever it is, you can go to the tenant and you can offer to literally pay them to say, okay, I will break my contract and sign a new lease with you, or I'll break my contract and move somewhere else. The next option that I found for tenants that are under contract that's a great option to get them to raise their rents immediately is I'll go to the tenants and I'll say, look, you've got 6 months left on your lease. And I want you to know if you want to just finish out that lease at the current rents, you can totally do that. However, I think you're someone that wants to stay here. Correct me if I'm wrong. And if they say, yes, we do, I'll say, well, here's the deal. When you finish your lease, I'm going to have to increase rents $200 because that's what this unit needs. So you're going to go from $500 to $700. However, if you're willing to sign a new lease right now, I would be willing to lock you in for an entire year at $625 in rents. Now, you're going to break your contract at $500 and go up to $625, but then you know you've got $625 for the next year rather than it immediately bumping up to $700 6 months from now. So you let me know what you prefer. I can do either or. I want to keep you happy, but those are the options. Let me know what you think. And what I love about giving these options is then people will say, you know what, I want to finish my lease, and then you can go and try and pay them to end their lease or do whatever, or just wait the lease out. But at least then you've given them this option to where you can have instant increase in rents and you can get them signed up for an entire year. And a lot of times when I present people with that, they would much prefer a small increase now, why they can afford it, than having this huge increase later that they know they're not going to be able to afford. And the numbers I gave you, maybe those don't work. Maybe you have to be a little more aggressive or less aggressive, but that's another option to get rents increased immediately without doing anything illegal and keeping your tenants happy. Now, with all of that being said, there is one more point that I want to hit on, and that is that every time I release a video that talks about increasing rents on tenants, the whole world loses their mind. Tons of people comment in and they say, oh, you're a savage, you're a slumlord, you're this, that, or the other thing. I can't believe you're kicking people out of their home. Well, first off, it's not their home, all right? It's a property owned by me or by any landlord, and they are renting to you. And when that happens, you're going to deal with rent increases. And the reason you're going to deal with rent increases is we live in a world that every single year things are getting more and more expensive. And a big reason for that is the dollar is becoming worth less and less every single year. And so as a landlord, it is essential that you need to raise rents. Just naturally, it's something that has to happen. On top of that, a lot of times I buy a property and I overpay for it for what the current rents are. So the only way that I can make it a worthwhile investment where I'm actually getting a return on my money is if I raise the rents to fair market rents. And how I know fair market rents is they are the rents that people are renting at, that the whole society says, hey, this is worth paying for. If I went into a tenant and I said, hey, I know you're paying $500 right now. When your lease is up, I'm gonna have to bump you to $1,000 a month. What's the tenant gonna do? If that's not fair market, if they can go and find something else for $600 a month, then they're gonna give me the bird and say, look, see you later, I'm gonna go rent somewhere else. And that's what's so cool about the free market is I can't take advantage of someone, all right? If they've got a head on them that thinks hardly at all, if I come in and charge them rents that are way above what the market's charging, then they're just gonna leave. And so when you say, oh, Chandler, you're a savage, I can't believe you would bump rents, or if you as a landlord are like, man, I just don't feel comfortable raising rents, I don't know how I could do that to my people. The reality is the market produces a number that people are willing to pay. And as a landlord, it is your right to raise rents to whatever that number is. And if you raise above, here's the deal. You're gonna have huge vacancy and you're not gonna find someone to live in that property. And so it is in the landlord's best interest to go to what fair market rents are. And unfortunately, as a renter, if you aren't going and buying your own home, the reality is you've got to pay fair market rents. Now, there are tricks you can do as a renter to try and get a better deal than fair market, and that happens all the time. That happens with these properties that I'm going in and purchasing where they're paying $200 below what the market is charging, and I say congratulations to you. That is awesome that you as a renter found an incredible deal, but don't be upset when a new landlord comes in and raises them to fair market value. Because if you can go find a better deal somewhere else, then do it. But if you can't, then don't be upset with your landlord because they are just running a business and they're doing what they have to do to be able to make money within that business. So with all of that being said, I really hope that this helps tenants and landlords understand rent increases and how to increase rents in the right way to where you're not doing anything dishonest, you're not taking advantage of your tenants, you're raising them to fair market value, and you're putting yourself as an investor in a situation where you can create a huge passive income for yourself. Now, if you enjoyed the video, please push the like button and subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to helping you in the future videos. Thanks guys, have a great day.